us that probably we need to do more, which is the undertaking I can make on behalf of my committee, the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, but I think also on behalf of the other committees, is something that we should endeavor to avoid. It's not a very healthy precedent for both Parliament and the committees, as well as the country, that tends to benefit, or that we intend to benefit from accountability. Accountability is a requirement that should be met and observed by all players. I beg to support.
Thank you, Honorable Segona. The issue of accountability is very crucial, and we are the watchdogs of the monies that we give out. We are going to disburse, we are going to do appropriation now, and we must be able to account for what has been given out. And if we cannot do the accountability, if we cannot do the work that is given to us, then there's a big problem. We'll have you on the order paper of Thursday, Park Central. Thank you. Honorable Asman.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, you've talked about the issue of fees in your communication. Right Honourable Speaker, through you, I humbly request that the Minister of Education tables before this House the statutory instrument explaining and clarifying the issue of capping of fees. Because, Right Honourable Speaker, the information we are picking from the media is not conclusive that there is a policy being set up by Cabinet on the issue of fees, and that there is a statutory instrument. Would be able to understand Speaker, there's information from Bujiri.
Now I'm giving information, and Right Honourable, being from Bujiri, has given me way. Right Honourable Speaker, the information I want to give you, Honourable Asman, is that what is actually happening is that different schools are hiding costs. They don't call it school fees, but they hide. The fees remains the same. Then they bring in issues like development fees. They bring in certain items that automatically make the school fees very, very high. And when the minister is bringing the statutory instrument, this should be covered. He should have something that is very clear, like he committed himself here on the floor of Parliament. That's the additional information I wanted to.
Thank you.
Chair, as I
We
conclude,
should be having the minimum and maximum amount of fees that is paid, including the requirements, not hiding other fees on requirements. And yet we have a right to education as per Article 30 of the Constitution. We need fees to be affordable for everybody.
Right Honourable Speaker, and the significance of laying before this Parliament that statutory instrument, it will also enable us to know the penalties for the schools that defy that directive or statutory instrument. So that's my humble prayer, Right Honourable Speaker.
Government.
Right Honourable Speaker,
You will answer after.
you have always and rightly even today re-emphasized that this is a people-centered parliament. And I want to appreciate you for that statement. Right Honourable Speaker, in February last year, I brought here a motion regarding the issue of exorbitant school fees. This motion has been before the committee almost 1 year now, Right Honourable Speaker. As the government brings this statutory instrument here, that's not enough. The committees of this House work on behalf of this Parliament. And therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to request you to use your good office to ask the committee to bring that report here, because I'm sure they consulted stakeholders so that we can debate. It is not just about school fees, but we need equity in this country. Why should we have government-aided schools? Some schools established by certain institutions, the government gives them capitation grant. The government builds, gives them development fees. The government pays teachers, but they still charge more than even university. You find a school, a secondary school, charging fees much more than a university. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to request that the Committee of Education, let's prioritize that report, and if it cannot bring that report on time, then my motion be brought and be debated, and we come up with, you adopt my recommendations or amend them. That is really my request. And in addition, so that I don't get back to the floor, Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak now, we have a number of students, science students in universities who are on the verge of dropping out of school because the higher students financing scheme board has not been provided with funds. They need just about 5 billion shillings to be able to take on 1,000 students who, some, this is their last semester, others are in their final year, but they're on the verge of dropping because there is no money. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to request that you use your good office also. We have provided money here, bailed out institutions, 200 billion, I don't know, for Rocco, I don't know, the monies we have been passing here. Why can't we find just 5 billion and give to this board so that it saves these science students, most of whom are poor students who cannot afford the fees. They have nowhere to turn to. Some of you have received calls. Please help me. This is my final semester. So, honorable colleague,
Sarah,
Right Honorable
can we
Speaker,
have
that's
a-
what I wanted.
Can we have a response from the chairperson of the committee? When can we have that report on the floor?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a very, very important matter. And the Right Honorable Speaker, we've actually have about 2 motions on this same subject. As a committee, we have done our best, and we want to appreciate you, Madam Speaker. You facilitated us to move around in a number of schools. We have a very good report, but we are going to discuss our draft on 24th of this month as per our work schedule. And then, Right Honorable Speaker, anytime after 24th, we are very ready to come here and present a very good report. And members, we want you to support us because we have come up with good recommendations to government in that report, but I don't want to preempt the report even before we discuss the draft.
Chair, children are going back to school. We need to know, what have you decided? What is Parliament saying about school fees?
Right Honorable Speaker, 24th is before the students go back to school. And we will be in
So
time.
can we have you on the order paper on 24th?
Yes, Madam Speaker. If you hold us, you give us 24th, yes, we'll be available, we'll be ready. We're going to work quicker because right now we have already concluded the BFP, so we can get time to schedule and discuss our draft report.
And what is this thing we are seeing on social media about Sarah, what was it? About the students in which schools? There are some words I even fear to mention. That's why I want somebody who is courageous enough to mention.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. If you have seen what I've seen is the tendency of gay in schools, and this particular one was referring to King's College and Vienna. Whether it is true or not, I think this House can pick interest, Right Honorable Speaker, and we investigate thoroughly whether this is true or not. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Committee of Education pick interest in that story that is on social media on the issue of the gays, where a teacher is being transferred from one school to the other because of being a gay, and you're transmitting the character from one school to the other. Can you pick up that issue? We are killing our morals. pick up that issue and report back to this house on those schools that are being mentioned.
Right Honorable Speaker, we shall
Yes,
take up the matter.
Oh, yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, your directives are very good, but should not be centered on only 2 schools in the country. I think the committee,
Honorable Minister, it is not on the 2 schools, but the gay practice in
the
schools.
schools. Thank you very much.
Yes, Minister. You will give your information to the committee, sir.
Madam Speaker, I'm standing in for the government chief whip on the issue of school fees and school charges.
Honorable Bahati, speak up. We know you're soft spoken.
On the issue of school fees and school charges, I want to confirm to you that the Ministry of Education is considering this and has prepared a cabinet paper, which is going to be discussed on Monday. And on the side of government, we will be able to inform you and the country on the possible direction that we are taking as through the Minister of Education. And then on the issue of the resources needed for the university as raised by Honorable Sarah Cheng, and also homosexuality in schools, we shall take up these issues with the Ministry of Education and report to the House accordingly. I thank you.
Love.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. At the risk of being misunderstood by my brother, standing for the government chief whip, I thought the issue raised by the Honorable Saro Pendi relating to science students in higher institutions was monies have not been remitted was a matter of emergency. The question would be, is the minister and by extension the government aware of this void for it to remain pending, or is they are part of the absentee government? Are they not aware of their responsibility that money has never been remitted by their people in school? Will the minister assure that he is aware of the problem, or actually they are grappling in the dark and so everyone should go home and wait for when they get out of their hallucinations? Is the minister aware that the Honorable Saro Pendi can speak to the petitioners about this problem?
Honorable Love, maybe just for information, what Sarah said, there was an appropriation that was made for science students. And that appropriation, what you did not make a release for the money that was appropriated. Instead, you're giving handouts to different people instead of saving our science students. And what she's saying, can't you just raise the 5 billion that these science students need? What commitment are you giving us now that the Minister of Finance has even come? What commitment are you giving for us to have at least 5 billion to be given to the science students as loans?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Rob, for raising that issue. Just to confirm that we are not absent. The NRM government is not absent, has been present for now 37 years and for the future. The issue of the resources needed, I did say that I'm going to consult with the Minister of Education and the Minister of Finance. Then the Minister of Education will communicate to this House tomorrow. I know the urgency of this matter. Thank you.
So we expect a response tomorrow in regard to the science students, in regard to the school fees. School fees, you're going to handle it on Monday?
School fees will be handled in cabinet on Monday, so that will be next week. But for the emergency question about the school fees, the 2 ministries are going to cross-check and consult and then come to this House tomorrow.
And then in regard to the homosexuality in schools?
I still say that we are going to take up the issue with the Ministry of Education and then the report to the House.
Honorable members,
as
these
we-
children are your children.
As we,
And if we don't take an action, a tough action as parliament, it is your children who are getting spoiled. Our
But-
children who are getting spoiled.
but Madam Speaker, as we said, the government does not support this practice in schools or anywhere. It's against the law and should be fought hard. And we'll make sure that we ensure to protect the children in schools and the future and the values of our country. I thank you.
And enforce the law that is available in terms of, in case one is got culpable for it. Isaac?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was just responding to the communication you raised earlier regarding the timeline of the budget framework paper. Whereas we appreciate the timeline that has to be followed, we are getting some challenges in the sectoral committee levels, whereby, for example, ours in the health committee, we just finished actually the BFP yesterday, the 26 votes which are supposed to appear before the committee. And this afternoon is supposed to be the most important part, whereby members of the committee actually now give their inputs on the final report that will be presented to the budget committee. So the issue I'm trying to raise is that I don't know how time can be made, but the most important part is actually the final allocation, the final report, which goes to the budget committee as a position for the sectoral committees. And you find that actually that sometimes has been pre-prepared by the secretariat in the committees, which is not actually the inputs of the members of the committee. So I don't know how that issue can be addressed in terms of the issue of the term.
So what is your issue, Isaac?
The issue I'm
First
just,
of all, I want you to appreciate the timeline is as per the Public Finance Management Act, as per the rules of procedure and constitution. It's outside our mandate. So what else?
I'm just saying that we can direct the committees so that the time is actually given, so that after, for example, meeting all the relative votes, at least we should have some time, a day or two, for the members to sit and consider the different requests of the votes, so that we have actually a good report to be given to the budget committee. And that doesn't seem to actually take place. Members are just called sometimes to sign.
Honorable Isaac, the consideration of the budget framework paper by the budget committee is under Rule 145(2) of the rules of procedure. And that's where it is presented. And as I report today, about 3 committees have already reported to the budget framework, to the budget committee. So there is no problem with it. And I'm very happy with all of you. You've done a great job. Members have been here. I was actually very impressed that the team that we have is a very hardworking team. So there is no loophole anywhere. Yes, Nathan Okwalinga, and we go to the next item.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Much as you are appreciating the committees, it is really chaos. Every committee is talking of funds, but we are told the funds are not there. Even the priority areas are not covered. For example, all of us having been up country before, some on Christmas holidays, the roads are in a bad state. The road fund money was reduced, continue to be reduced. How do you expect us to pass a budget here where the money for road maintenance is not there? I saw the tourism ministry talking of no money. If we can't give money to the cash cow of tourism, where is the money going to be? I'm surprised that really some of the chairpersons haven't come to you to tell you that you need, like, it's a business committee, look at the budget. Otherwise, we shall eat lunch at supper time. I am sorry to say, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Musasizi, what Honorable Nathan is saying, we are just having a theoretical budget, a qualitative budget, not quantitative. And we are just going there as rubber stamping and a culture, will what we have appropriated ever be respected as this house? Will it be respected? Do we still have the power to do the appropriation?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are in the process of budgeting. And the process of budgeting has got several stages. Where we are now, we are considering the budget framework paper. We presented the budget framework paper here. It went to the budget committee and subsequently cascaded to program committees or sectoral committees. Parliament will consider the budget framework paper with recommendations, and based on that, we shall prepare the second budget call circular. Madam Speaker, it is true that at this stage where we are, it is difficult to tell how the final allocations will look like. The recommendations from Parliament, together with the other emerging issues which will come from our side, will all be put together and will be communicated in the second budget call circular. From there, that's where we can begin talking about where the gap is and where the gap is not. On two, whether Parliament's power on appropriation is still valued and respected, the answer is in affirmative. It is yes. Parliament has powers, and we do respect the powers of Parliament. But like I have always said before this House, implementation, the execution of the budget also may bring certain things which will not augur well with what Parliament wishes to see. Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Yes, clarification?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I'm hesitant to take in your last communication. As you are aware, committees have always made recommendations from the BFP, like we are doing today. The Committee on Infrastructure made recommendations of very many changes or appropriations, and none of them was taken by the Ministry of Finance. Even at the time of implementation, as of today, half year, mid-year, when we are looking at the midterm review of what the money you've appropriated, debts with contractors are continuing to increase to 599 billion has not been paid. And this, I thought, would be the first priority of government, to pay off the arrears, and then we proceed. None of the recommendations on the BFP that we made was considered. None. So I'm only hesitant to agree that actually you're taking the powers of appropriation of this Parliament serious. And this is a complaint from all committees. And yet you go ahead. I've seen in some particular instances where cows or chief administrative officers are writing to Minister of Finance, and Minister of Finance is appropriating money and even sending money to them that was not passed by this committee. So I request that you give us a stronger answer about our mandate to appropriate.
Honorable Minister, I think there's a big problem. What Honorable Nathan is saying, priority areas where they agree this must be funded, you still don't fund it. We've become rubber stamps in Parliament. It is actually finance that sits in a boardroom and divides what should go where. It is discretionary now. So we need to have respect for institutions, have respect for Parliament, and we'll do respect you too. Because if you don't respect us, tomorrow you will need us in this house. We know you have all the powers to do everything, but you need to respect the institution of parliament. And I've always told you, ministers, your ministers today up to midnight. The president will wake up tomorrow and say you're not there. You will come back to parliament. So for us as members of parliament, we need to protect where you're going to come back. We are protecting your institution. So it is not good for you to go and you become wasted there. We need to protect the institution where you belong. It is here that you belong. And I know Honorable Musa Sisi was the best chairperson, one of the best chairpersons. Don't be taken up by some of these things. Mr. Honorable Kwalinga.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg you to permit me to revisit some point that I feel was left out on the other issue. It relates to that
Which issue?
on the school fees. Before the
We made a ruling on school fees.
just to an addition, which will
The
be very
rules-
important, I believe.
Honorable Kwalinga, tomorrow you'll make a presentation to that effect. Once the speaker has made a ruling, it is final.
That's why I was requesting you, Madam
Yes, I'm
Speaker.
giving yes lot tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
I'll give yes
Okay,
lot tomorrow.
Much
Infrastructure, tomorrow you'll be the first one to speak on school fees.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I really would want to react to the Honorable Minister's comments specifically on infrastructure. And I can see he's looking at me. Really, Madam Speaker, as a House, for example, we made a very serious recommendation on road equipment. You directed actually. We forwarded that request to Finance, but Finance decided in their wisdom for 16 districts to provide only the money for half the money.
We provided for 57 billion.
Yes.
I still remember.
And Right Honorable Speaker, Finance gave only 28 billion. They said the other one will be in the next financial year.
Have those other districts got the equipment?
No.
Now, where did the 28 billion go?
And Right Honorable Speaker, the LOCs are supposed to cover the entire purchase. When we complained, and Finance said, no, we don't have the money.
Let's put the balance in this financial year and we'll see if they will not approve.
Okay, right.
Madam Speaker, it is true in the financial year 22-23, there was a provision of about 56 billion for acquisition of new road units for the districts, which were established after we bought equipment for the districts. But here we are, we could only afford 28 billion this year. And we are proposing, and I have had the extensive discussion with the chair of Fiscal Infrastructure Committee, that if you can allow us in this budget we are building, also make another allocation of 28 billion, so that in 2 years we are able to make good our obligation in as far as road units are concerned. I feel, Madam Speaker, it is a good win-win in the current circumstances.
That is okay. Let's wait for the next, for this financial year. Yes, Basil?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. If you recall, there is a time I presented about roads after devastating rains. And I was supported by Honorable Dan Chimoto about one of your members one of these days facing mob justice because of roads. And I recall very well you said, as we go into this budget,
Honorable members, we have a report on UNRWA.
yes,
We have a report on UNRWA. I've also seen the general here. I've seen the chairperson, Kosase here. We'll discuss the issues of roads when we are discussing the report of UNRWA.
most obliged.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 3, statement by the leader of the opposition on the state of forests in Uganda.
Honorable members, under Rule 53 of the Rules of Procedure, for statement by leader of opposition, and that such statement shall be debated for 1 hour, and for now we shall limit it to 30 minutes because we don't have time or less. And you know, issues of forests concern all of us. I would now implore the leader of opposition come and make a presentation.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I have delegated this responsibility to my Shadow Minister for Environment, the Honorable Christine Kaya, former MP for Chiboga, to read the statement. Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Christine. Is the statement uploaded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Milo, for giving way. I hereby present a statement on the state of forests in Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, our country is burning and flooding due to tampering with our ecosystem. We are experiencing flooding, dry spells, and landslides at levels and intervals that we have not had in our lifetime. We are now experiencing the real effects of climate change. The harsh climate we are facing is directly associated with a significant loss of forests and tree cover, which provide the largest sinks for carbon that contributes to global warming. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a lot of ecosystems, but we want to emphasize that the contribution of the forests as a sink for carbon is higher than any other ecosystem. According to the Ministry of Water and Environment, Uganda forest cover plummeted from 24% in 1990 to 10% in 2017. In 2000 alone, the country is reported to have lost 297 kilometers of the forest cover. And by 2020, the figure had more than doubled to 736 kilometers of forest lost in a single year. Annual forest cover loss was recorded highest on private forests. And that one goes for 1.9%, an equivalent of 94,747, which is also equivalent to 48 hectares. And 0.3% was on protected forests. And so the policy and the law on forest, Right Honorable Speaker, encroachment, illegal titling, and selective allocation of forests to private enterprises. Right Honorable Speaker, uncontrolled encroachment on forest land, illegal harvesting and titling renders the future generation vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Uncontrolled deforestation stands as #1 of the major threatening factors for sustainability of the environment. Deforestation destabilizes the ecological and environmental functions. And in the brackets, you can see soil and water conservation. We always attribute loss of soil fertility to very many factors. But the moment we have no forests, then the deterioration of soil fertility will be high. And so functions of tree rendering the areas vulnerable to externalities. We have significant encroachment on forests, like Budongo Forest encroached on by Kachira Sugar Works, Bugoma Forest encroached on by Hoima Sugar. Mabira Forest in Rugazi encroached on by Rugazi Sugar Works. Kisisira Central Forest Reserve in C sub-county and in Namazina Forest in Ngogwe sub-county in Buikwe South constituency. Namyoya and in Namamve in Mukono, Bajo, Kiula and Wamale in Kayunga. Mbarara Central Forest Reserve. Mugomba and Chituburu in Wakiso. Rutoboka Central Forest Reserve in Kalangala. Lira Central Forest Reserve, Rwamonda and Walumanyi in Impigi, Luwera and Butebe, Kabalole Forest in Chiboga, Masakanda across Uganda. As we speak, there are over 1,000 illegal land titles fraudulently created on Central Forest Reserves under the watch of the National Forest Authority, and government is not doing anything enough to evict encroachers. It's not doing enough. They are doing something. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a big problem created by licensees of the National Forest Authority who do not comply with terms and conditions stated therein, such that in the process of restoring degraded areas of the Central Forest Reserves, they have instead cut down, destroyed, and completely removed the natural forests in the Central Forest Reserves, and then planted pine and eucalyptus trees on the bare forest land created. The most affected posting areas we have visited are Mabira National Forest Reserve, a Uganda natural heritage that has been left along Jinja Road, while its integrity internally has been deplorably destroyed as the National Forest Authority watches on. Natural forests and plantations play important roles that are more recognized locally and internationally in terms of inter alia biodiversity conservation, climate stability, carbon sequestration, water catchment, medicinal and production of various forest products for livelihood improvement. Right Honorable Speaker, when we retain pine and eucalyptus alone and do away with the rainforests, then many of these functions and many of these benefits can no longer be got from the gazetted forest reserves. A total of 628 billion shillings was approved in financial year 2022-2023 for actions to mitigate and adapt to climate change. And number one was concerning resurveying and marking 6,200 square kilometers of boundary to increase the national forest cover from the current 12.4% to 15%, and restoring 850 square kilometers of wetlands and forests. And then the other provision in that budget was demarcating and gazetting of Central Forest Reserves and wetlands, and also eviction of encroachers on forests and wetlands. And the process of cancellation of titles in wetlands had started. However, no significant funds were allocated for actual tree planting to restore significantly deforested forest areas. We have the tree nurseries, but the dissemination of the tree seedlings is left to voluntarism. NEMA efforts to restore forests are selective in that major encroachers are sidelined as efforts are concentrated towards driving away small encroachers. Unless this is halted, we risk losing tree cover by 2040. There are some spots on selective implementation of the law within the management of forests. And Right Honorable Speaker, based on the annual statement on the environment, would we expect the minister to report on actions taken against encroachers on forests, steps taken to replant, regenerate, and expand coverage of forests, and then also report on details of climate finance mobilized and the relevant projects that benefited from the climate finance. Based on the global information we have, there are a lot of baskets that can fund us. And even when you look at the natural resources budget, the biggest batch of the budget to finance our activities is external. So would like to have a well concentrated group that helps us fundraise for these finances. Right, Honorable Speaker, my prayers are, we pray for special audits into the following: how and why Uganda's forest cover fell from 24% in 1990 to 10% in 2017, respectively. The process of acquisition of rights to manage the Central Forest Reserves and the management of the Central Forest Reserves in line with the National Forest and Tree Planting Act, with intention to withdraw the management mandate. So we'd like to have the process of acquiring these rights. And then the second prayer is what are the specifications other than demarcating boundaries that the government is undertaking to restore and expand the current coverage of forests? Number 3, our prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, relate to the National Forest Authority. Part A, we are praying that it reviews its policy on issuing out licenses to harvest forest products, cutting, taking, working, or removing of forest produce from all forest reserves. Revoke all licenses. Part B, revoke all licenses where the licensees did not comply with terms and conditions stated therein. Others were given portions which have been redundant for over 6 years. Part C, under our prayers, we also need a report on forest areas surveyed by National Forest Authority in the last quarter, as required by the National Forestry Act. I beg to move, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for the report. And as I said before, National Forest Authority and the forests affect all of us in terms of climate change. I can now open the debate for 10 minutes. Jessica, Jen, Rasta.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to appreciate Honorable Member for the comprehensive submission. But Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I remember that the Right Honorable Prime Minister made commitment on the floor of the House on how government is going to ensure and conserve our environment. Right Honorable Speaker, we have staff all over the region, all over the districts. The NFA staff are there, but the depletion is continuous. Right Honorable Speaker, some people must be sleeping on their jobs because the concerns on the protection and preservations are for the benefit of all of us. Therefore, in my view, let the Prime Minister come and update us on how they are protecting the environment, but also conserving, because we have to do the two concurrently. We have to restore as we protect the existing. Right Honorable Speaker, that is my proposal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jen?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this is my maiden speech this year, and I want to start it by wishing you a very happy new year and all members of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I did raise a motion here, I did move a motion here last year about operationalization of the Forestry and Tree Planting Act, especially the Forest Fund. And I do recall that the Minister of Finance literally accepted and even said he is a tree farmer and therefore very passionate about issues of tree planting. That said, Right Honorable Speaker, I think for us, the women of Uganda are even more affected by climate change and depletion of the forest cover of this country. And I don't want to go to listing how we are affected. It is clear knowledge. And Right Honorable Speaker, in that act, it clearly spells out that there must be procedures on tree planting. How I urge government and even us members of parliament, how we should, Right Honorable Speaker, if you deem it right, along in the process of this year, at least give us 1 week or 2. We all go back to our constituencies and we sensitize, we mobilize our people to plant trees. Otherwise, Right Honorable Speaker, and the people of Uganda listening out there, particularly the people of Pakwach, we are sitting on a time bomb.
You actually need to plant trees yourself as legislators. You should be the ones to act and others see you do it. Rasta?
Madam Speaker, Happy New Year to you, especially from the fraternity of Rastas in this parliament. I am a proud owner of not merely a plantation, but a woodlot. I appreciate the statement from law. It is true and right that we must protect, conserve our forests. However, I would have loved more to hear how the private citizens of this country are encouraged to plant, preserve, and conserve. There should be some way of encouragement from government, specifically that those who have whether plantations or woodlots are encouraged, possibly with a small fund to them so that the trees are conserved as well. Number two, Madam Speaker, government is number one deforester. I've been at grapples with especially my people in Mount Elgon, and those of us who come from Mount Elgon know that those who are supposed to protect are themselves a problem. They are the ones cutting down trees deep in the forest, especially in Mount Elgon. Government, we are reawakening you to check that. I know I have my friends around that place. It touches them when I speak on the floor of parliament. Lastly, the weak environment enforcement agencies. Madam Speaker, this House should know that we even have environment police.
Thank you. Honorable members, I want you to focus on the prayers. The diagnosis has been known. Let's now look at the prayers. How can we improve on the prayers, and what can we do on what the prayers are asking for? Yes, Okwalinga?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as you just indicated, I would like appreciate the law for this good statement, but for the prayers, I would request or you direct actual government to make sure out of the 40 million Ugandans that we have, each person should be annually given 2 seedlings to plant in their homes. So if it is 2, that will be 80 million per year. I'm sure over time, it will result in 2.
Simon, given by who?
By us, we have to appropriate so that government receives the money to buy seedlings.
We appropriated money for seedlings. Was it released?
Then the government should be tasked to account for where they put the money that was appropriated by parliament.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the leader of opposition for the precise report on the forest cover in the country. And Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the report of the leader of opposition, it is exactly what is on the ground and what is happening. And the prayers are very clear. Right now, Speaker, if you look at one of the paper today, is indicating that 20 out of the 25, 7 people arrested from Zoka Central Forest Reserve, most of them are foreigners. Right now, Speaker, a day after yesterday, we had 27 people arrested by UPDF who are logging inside Zoka Forest Reserve. And I've not seen this report covering Zoka Forest, but it is also a central forest in this country. Now, when we talk about the issue of forest depletion in this country, right now, Speaker, in this house, we have been discussing over these matters. And we are very clear, there are prayers which we made that we need the government to get on the ground, but we are not seeing such actions, right, Honorable Speaker. And in this note, I want to be clear that the people of Jumani East are even calling government to say that they need a meeting with the government as far as Zoka is concerned, because alluded by everybody here that we have agencies which are working on the ground. We have NFA, we have police, we have UPDF, and so forth. But look at the scenario which happened in my sub-county yesterday, but one. A senior police officer was calling a person who is in charge of the patrol for UPDF to leave the persons they are arresting. Now, as a country, where are we moving? As mentioned by one of our colleagues, meaning government is aware of what is taking place in these natural resources or those natural forests. And if that is the case,
Honorable members, I want each of you is going to talk. First, to mention how many trees you have planted. Because it is a responsibility of all of us. How many trees have you planted before you talk, before you start blaming government? Okay? Yes?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
There's a procedure matter.
Yeah, my name is Adiko Yovan, representing people of
Jovan, there is a procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this matter touches all of us. And when I hear the submissions of members, they are even referring to appropriation that was done earlier and asking where the government has put the money. Madam Speaker, would it not be procedure right that we ask the minister to first come and give us a statement, and then thereafter we can debate from an informed point of view? Otherwise, we are here speaking. I don't even see the minister responsible for the environment. So would it not be procedure right that you ask the Minister of Water and Environment to come with a statement on this matter, and then we can carry on with debate from an informed point.
We have the minister here. We want to know the status on the protection and conservation of our forests in Uganda. Government.
Madam Speaker, all the ministers in the Ministry of Water and Environment are not available today. I agree that with your permission, the minister would come probably next week on Tuesday and make a statement, and then the House can enrich this debate, this paper by the Leader of Opposition.
We may not need a statement, but we may need an action report.
The answer.
We need an action report as per Rule 220 on the recommendations, on the prayers that have been raised by Honorable Christine Delop. That's what we will need on Tuesday.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 5, motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Local Government, on the report of the Auditor General for the financial year 2020-2021 on 49 district local governments, 6 cities, and 5 municipal councils.
Honorable members, you recall this report was presented on 6th January, and the debate was deferred to today. And as it was guided in the communication, we will put a question in this particular report and the rest of the pending entities that have not been considered by the committee. That is as per Rule 160, Article 163.5 of the Constitution. And as I said before, we need to finalize on the accountability cycle before we go into the next budget. You approved the loan in this house, but the loan cannot be disbursed before they have treasury memoranda coming from this house, especially from the accountability committees. And before I invite the chairperson of local government to speak on his report, there are a number of salient issues that were brought in the other report. And as we discussed, where you find the accounting officer is culpable for the actions that were taken, let's avoid transferring accounting officers from one station to the other station. We are transferring vice. Let's be bold enough to take a decision. If it means firing a person, fire. Other than transferring a person from here to there, and you will take his virus from one station to the other. Honorable Chairperson, can you come and give us a brief summary? Is Honorable Mapenduse here? Anyway, the report was presented. Can we debate the report of local government? Yes, Christine.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much. Colleagues, let's try to retrieve the report. Probably it could be shared once again. Right, Honorable Speaker, there were a number of issues shared within that report, but most important to my district, because it was part of it, the issue of the political leaders' gratuity, not having a vote, not having a code, really threatens our politicians down there. And so many of the politicians did not have a future as far as livelihood is concerned. And then there were issues of delayed access to the payroll. For example, in my district, it was quoted that 13 staff had missed the payroll for 1 to 3 months. Right, Honorable Speaker, the same applied to the access by the pensioners to the payroll. And it was also reported that it ranged from 1 to 120 months before a pensioner appears on the payroll. Most important to note was also the stock out in the hospitals within our districts. Mine specifically reported that out of the 360 days in a year, 349 days were didn't have enough stocks in the hospital. And now we can see the reasons for high maternal death within those hospitals. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we need to check the deliveries in line with the increasing population. What Chiboga used to get some time back is the same. There is no relationship between population increase and stocks given to the districts. That issue is very important. And then the delayed reporting by the chief accounting officers because of certain delays in the systems, which system is also affecting the public servants. Me personally, I do not know the exact challenge related to the salary processing. The chief accounting officers keep referring to that system, that sometimes it is down, it is slow, it is still loading, and then somebody misses a salary, being given such excuses. So that system, actually, the ministry had provided some trainings to some districts, but some districts still need the support of the public service ministry to develop the staff capacity such that salary earners are not delayed. And then the transfers from the government units. Some of the transfers from the government units were at 50%. And also the staff enrollment, there are some posts that are missing. Some posts are missing staff in the local governments, yet the wages are being shared. I mean, within the budgets. The budget framework paper provides the same wage, like we have been told, but we wonder why some posts remain empty. Most important for us in Chiboga, we miss the vermin control officer, yet the monkeys and all other wild game have started encroaching on the food. And then he also brought out the issue of no strategic plans for the districts. Most strategic plans were shared with the National Planning Authority, but there was no approval. And us as members of parliament, we move. We do not know the strategic direction of our districts, and we just implement the way we want. So the issue of approving strategic plans for the respective districts is very important, such that also all the leaders, in case you, even civil society organizations, follow the strategic objectives of the district and implement in line. Those are some of the observations I have. Thank you.
Thank you. When you look at the issues of the local government, you're looking at issues of the road fund, the amount of money that is being sent to the districts from the road fund, the issue of impassable roads, the issue of absenteeism of staff, the issue of lack of transparency in the district service commission. There are district service commissions where people have to pay to be recruited. Those are the issues, some of the issues that are there. There's also an issue of where there's upgrading of the health center 2 to health center 3. It was passed in this house, it has not been implemented. It is still there, and yet in the books of Minister of Health, it is presumed there is a health center 3 or health center 4 in those districts. Yes, Kazo?
Procedures.
Yes, Queen Dancer.
Honorable Speaker, the procedure matter I'm raising is that we don't have the Minister of Local Government here.
We cannot stop operation because there is no minister, but there's government here.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker was here when they presented this report. And one of the issues that came out in the report was about late releases. Right Honorable Speaker, while local governments have their challenges, but some of the challenges are created by the center. I have seen many times when the central government sends money 1 month closure of the financial year. And they are telling local government, please use this money in 1 month. And they are telling them to absorb a lot of money that cannot be absorbed in the time left. Now, they create a feeling, even within the population, that they have provided the money. But in the actual sense, they know they can carry the money cannot be absorbed. Maybe we need to look at the flexibilities we can create for local governments at some point. By the way, it does not only affect local governments in that real sense, it affects even the members of parliament because they think we have not done enough in helping the local governments to absorb the money, and they count it as non-performance. I have looked at it many times, and you're wondering why would the Ministry of Finance use the same method, knowing the impediments and challenges without putting the flexibilities that are required if we actually want to perform as a government. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue, we need serious scrutiny on the issue of transparency in local governments. Because while they are supposed to be checked by councils, district councils, the level of awareness at district council is so low that they cannot check the technocrats. And we made it worse. Councillors are not required to have any academic qualification. They are checking people with masters and bachelors who speak English through their nose and ears, and the councillors cannot interpret some of these things. And we are talking about transparency, we are talking about accountability, we are talking about local government performing. It cannot be, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, what Honorable Kimosho is saying is very true. You cannot have somebody check a graduate, somebody who doesn't know even about accounts, doesn't know all these kind of things. And maybe we need to have a reporting system that is not through council. We should do our oversight duty very well. But of course, when it comes to parliament, also they will say you are also equivalent. So you see that kind of thing. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the 10th Parliament did pass an amendment to the qualifications of councillors at the
Honorable
district.
members, let's look at local government. Honorable Queen.
So let me go to the local government. Right Honorable Speaker, on the
Now,
recruitment.
Honorable Sarah, first sit.
Thank you.
Honorable Queen, let's not look at qualifications now because I know what happened in 10th Parliament.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just want to add on what my colleague Honorable Dan have just said on the issue of overloading local governments. You find in a financial year,
Minister of Finance listened to the issue of delayed disbursements and yet you expect them to do a full absorption.
in fact, in the entire country, all our local governments are in too much pressure because we find we send money to districts when it is just 2 months to the end of the financial year. And this is development money.
Not we send money. Parliament does not send money.
It is the finance.
Yes.
The finance send money when it is 2 months to the end of the financial year. And in this money, for local governments to spend this money, they must go through procurement process. You find procurement takes about 2 months. By the time the district enters agreement with the contractors, it is left with 2 weeks, the financial year. The contractors start work, and in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, money is swept back. For example,
And Attorney General, I want you to take a keen interest in this. When the money is sent to the district, say it is sent for a construction of a hospital, a school, and it's sent 2 months to end of the financial year. What the local government do, they just handpick contractors. I have a scenario in my district. They just handpicked a contractor who didn't know what to do just because they've been told absorb. And the man did not do any quality work. The money instead actually got wasted. Yes.
you find even after turning back the money at the end of the financial year, again, when the new financial year begins, they should have been sending this money back in the first quarter. You find first quarter goes, no money sent. Second quarter goes, no money sent. Now we are in third quarter. and the money that was returned on the end of the financial year have not been sent up to today, and you expect work to be done. And now we have Minister of Finance have already started sending money for new projects. Now they have left the old what? Projects. In our local governments, we have projects which have taken 3 financial years, even when they were meant to take 6 months. And this is all the challenges that the local governments are going through. And finally, let me take your information.
Now you have become the speaker, eh? Honorable Abedi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in that report, there were issues of the new cities, the 10 new cities in this country. When the minister responded, he did allude that he was in a process of coming out with a new law to govern these new local governments, which are the cities. And then he said they had hit a snag with the Attorney General, that now they are bringing guidelines. We are stuck, Right Honorable Speaker, in these new cities. We are stuck, we cannot do delivery of services to our people. These new cities, even now in the budgets, they still give us a budget of a municipality up to now. We want to ask, Right Honorable Speaker, that we are considered as part of the local government. A new law should come out and be brought to this parliament so that we can be governed under that new law. Right now, we are in problems in those cities. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much. Attorney General, you need to respond to that. And you find most of these new cities have no garbage collection. They are the dirtiest places I've ever seen. I went to Soroti and I could not stop because of the garbage collection. Amede Agnes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you, Chair and the Committee of Local Government for the report. I was in the House when the report was presented, and the report was spot on, laying bare what the situation is in our local government. These issues are not new. These issues have been ongoing, and I want to indict the executive or central government for being slow to address these issues. Some of these issues emanate from governance issues or accountability. The issues you have mentioned, for example, the indiscipline of the staff. I will take an example of my own district. Non-qualifications of some staff, lack of independence by the District Service Commission. Some of these issues need to be addressed by the change of some laws that govern the local governments. There are sectors in the local government that need strict supervision, but there is minimal supervision by the central government. I'm therefore seeking the commitment of the representative of the executive here to commit to Parliament. When are they bringing some of these changes to the Local Government Act so that people can have better services? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Agnes, Nancy.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to comment about the issues of deleting names of staff and also delay in the payments of salary. For example, in my district, Lamour, there are so many civil servants who have cried out day in and out that some of them have even so far stayed for 1.5 years without getting payment. I wonder how public service sent money at the district and human resource officers, they don't pay money. It is my prayer that the Ministry of Local Government should enact some laws for this human resource, because we have come to realize that there are other people who have already been transferred to another district, but their name is still there. There are others who have been appointed and they have letter of appointment since last year or even 2021. Until now that I'm speaking here, they have not received even a single coin of their salary. And when we start talking, the human resource officer will start saying that politicians are fighting them. It is a big problem. And these are people who have children who should go to school. We really want to request the Minister of Local Government to take serious actions. In fact, the name of Lamoa district even came in this report, and it is quite bad. We want serious action to be taken on human resource officers who are not doing well. Because I know public service sent money, decentralize it to all the 146 districts. For example, issues of the payroll, Madam Speaker, and gratuity for pensioners. There are 66 pensioners in my district who have never been paid. Others died and their death gratuity have even not been paid. When we try to follow up, the Human Resource Department, they don't want to bring issues on the table for us to know. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. There is a deletion of names and then addition of ghost names.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I think the report has helped us to see a lot of overlying issues. In my district, Right Honorable Speaker, nearly all the heads of department are on acting capacity for now 5 years, even more. There are only 2 heads of department that are substantially appointed, the COW and the Senior Community Development Officer. So even when you send money early, you are doubtful whether the staff that are supposed to implement are competent and whether they are occupying their post legally. I also would like to request the Minister of Local Government to bring to an end the issue of acting capacity, just not in my district, but across the country. I thank you.
Alan.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. My issue is on unauthorized loans deductions. Like for my case in Akaske district, it shows 9 employees, 9 workers didn't consent, but their monies were being deducted without the authorization from these workers. So seriously, this is a matter which needs to be worked upon, meaning that as the members of parliament, we need to react urgently. And secondly, about the inconsistencies between the payrolls registers.
Who deducts the money, the district in favor of the bank or?
In favor of the bank, because the report shows
It's the district that deducts, huh?
Exactly. And then the officers confessed. And then the second is about the consistencies between the payroll registers. For Nakasike district, it shows that 13 staff were being paid by Nakasike district local government, but these staff were not on the list of the Ministry of Public Services. And the list of public services was showing 4 staff, but these 4 staff were not being registered on the list of Nakasike district local government payroll register. So meaning there is a lot of inconsistencies which need to be worked upon, and this parliament, we need to make strong recommendations about it.
Thank you. The issue of ghost workers, the issue of inconsistency in the payroll. Honorable Kudo, Dish.
Thank you,
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my concern in this report is about our workers, like the health sector, education sector. You find people lamenting that government has delayed to pay us money. When we go for our work as members of parliament, you reach the health center, you find a report that the health workers are not doing their work, and they are number one to lament. We need also, as members of parliament, as a parliament, to task the cows to do their responsibilities, because they are leaving it onto us, and yet they are the ones who are recruiting these people into those positions. Madam Speaker, we need to have value for money. As we pay them, they need to also give services to our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Roran Njomjenyi, and I represent the people of Ruchiga. In the report, Madam Speaker, there was an issue of poor absorption of funds. But Madam Speaker, on this note, I would like to applaud government because the absorption has improved tremendously along the years. When we didn't have the single treasury account, the chief accounting officers used it to keep money for a long time, with the hope that at the end of the financial year, that money, they could hide it in the banks, and afterward they would retrieve it. But with the single treasury account, the issue of the absorption of the funds has improved, and I applaud the government on this matter. Right Honorable Speaker, in the report, there was an issue which is very pertinent concerning the advances, both activity advances and salary advances for staff. What is happening, Right Honorable Speaker, is, especially for the works department, the money at the districts is deposited on the district engineer's account for him to do the work of the district. And Right Honorable Speaker, once this money is deposited on the account of the engineer, it does no longer belong, it is no longer belonging to the district, but to the staff, that particular staff. So this matter needs to be investigated further, Right Honorable Speaker, with a view of reducing this practice of depositing money supposed to do roads and water schemes, which is deposited on this district engineer's accounts. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, as one of the members suggested earlier, we need regulations, we need to change the laws, especially procurement laws and guidelines, to fit the situations that we are facing at the local governments. Because what is applicable, for example, in the central governments, the procurement processes may not be applicable at the local councils. So when we apply those laws uniformly, we may not be able to deliver the services to our people. I beg to submit, Right Honorable
We need an
Speaker.
amendment in the Local Government Act, Ebwalo, Panado, and Bodo.
Right Honorable Speaker, we are talking about service delivery. Right Honorable Speaker, you rightly put it. Soroti City is choking with garbage everywhere you pass. I want to thank the ministry. The ministry delivered a skip loader to Soroti. But I can tell you, Parliament and the country, that that car is parked. Why? The thugs went and stole a battery of that car. Up to now, it is parked in the city. That is negligence. Negligence. Now, Soroti City is fully guarded. not by the private security, but Uganda police force. Up to now, Right Honorable Speaker, nothing has been done. Number two,
What did you say is stolen?
the battery of a skip loader.
Minister, can we?
Yes.
Can we, Minister of Local Government, can we have that machine start working tomorrow? Let the people who are responsible
Yes.
take responsibility.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Issue number two, Right Honorable Speaker, there is constant conflict between Soroti City and the district. There was a document circulated, written by the Attorney General, guidance, that the movable assets are divided 50-50, and then the movable assets remain in the city, whether true or false. Right Honorable Speaker, there was a very embarrassing situation in Soroti, where the engineers of Soroti district went and pulled down the signpost of Soroti City, planted by the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Dan, the Right Honorable Alitua Alakadaga. The engineer of the district went and pulled it down. We are sharing officers in the city. The LC5 is here, the mayor is here, the RDC is here of the district, the RDC of the city is the other side. So there is total confusion. We want to implore and appeal to the Attorney General that please guide us and direct us that where should the city be and where should the district be. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Soroti women. Do you have something to say? Soroti women? On the same? Okay, you don't have Panadol?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mine is on the issue about land titles, securing land titles on government land. Right Honorable Speaker, it so happens that I've been time and again almost coming here explaining to the Minister of Local Government, who is incidentally not here, about how people keep on grabbing government land and they end up owning it. The government has adamantly refused to get titles on its own land. You find that a case in a scenario in Uganda, the other time I kept on yelling here about the Freedom Square, it went. And the people sold it, and now it is no more. Now they have started encroaching on another land, a primary school in Nakavule. Now people are taking up the land. The government is not putting a lot of pressure on those who are taking the land. They don't have land titles. I tried to bring them together so that we can get land titles, most of those lands, but they end up almost engaging with the land grabbers. And at the end of the day, it is we to lose, because as leaders will be looked at as people who are sidelining with the fraudsters who are taking away government land. Yet government is not also, I think, interested in it. So I don't know what they are going to do.
Attorney General, you need to respond to what Panadol is raising. It has been on this floor for long. Landlord.
Thank you, Right Honorable.
He's the MP of Central. We are sitting in his constituency.
First of all, I apologize for the potholes within the city. I had one saying potholes. I'll take it. But we all share the responsibility.
Honorable
In good
Medi,
faith. Yes.
you speak.
Right Honorable Speaker, local governments include mine. Local governments include where you're seated. Mine is unique in a way that most of us within the seats of power, including the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, find themselves either operating from here most times of the year or transacting their business from here. We face a general problem in the country where local governments are having a cocktail of problems, from capacity to low staffing to inability, practically to the mindset of the people, which culminates into heaping the problem onto the politically elected leaders in the name of legislators. Today, as a result of the malfunctions in the local governments, the members of parliament have become the local governments themselves. You'll find yourselves upgrading the roads that are meant to be done by the local governments. Reason being, if we do not give enough time to debate the malfunctions that at strategic and operational level, at local government level, we shall shoulder the responsibility. And finally, we will not be able to carry the entire responsibility. That is why you find every member of parliament telling you how they need a grader to go and work on certain roads that have become impassable as a result of the rains. So this problem is not peculiar to only the city, but it's a cocktail of problems unless we address it wholesomely, whether through amendment of laws or through practicability of what we can do by empowering the local governments. How? And this is what I suggest. Local governments are the nurseries. They are the incubators of the leaders that will sit here tomorrow. I have no doubt 90% of the leaders that are seated here today as legislators were once either councillors or technical officers at local government, other than the speaker. But it would be good practice to have leaders having incubation from the lowest forms of leadership. But at least I know even from political parties and from the local council system, many of us found ourselves here. And I would have no doubt that even those that had their way through alternative routes are finding ways of solving problems at local government levels because we are ex-officials in the councils there. Therefore, we have participation at that level. But what do we witness? That there are no strategic plans and master plans for given local governments. The way we create these administrative units is so much political that it's not based on scientific means. And now the cocktail of problem comes back to us to solve those problems that we've created. That is why there are some districts that hardly have human resource in form of veterinary officers, extension workers, health officers, etc. Because we create local governments that are not necessarily backed up with science, but they are backed up by political sentiments that certain people ate. I didn't talk about rats. For me, I'm only saying certain people smiled well and they got a district. Others over-demanded. And I've heard the president on record saying, please, let's stop creating administrative units because we do not have the financial muscle to support them. But now that we have them, what do we do, Right Honorable Speaker? We implore the Minister of Finance that please do not create problems to us. For example, as we walk through these cities and local governments, and people comment about roads, not many people can interface with the Minister of Finance. The only people they interface with are their members of parliament or the speaker. The speaker was talking about garbage. She was scared getting out of Soroti because they would then say, Madam Right Honorable Speaker, look at the garbage. And the answer would be, the cow would say, we don't have money because the funds have not been released. When I talk about my local government, imagine a release of 13 billion shillings for Kampala as it looks like as development budget in this quarter with all those potholes. It should be a shame on all of us, not on you alone. I know there are few revenue streams, but let's put our money where we have our capacity. This is the face of our nation. The airport. We all landed at that airport, Right Honorable Speaker. As you invite speakers to come here for the next conference, at what airport do they land? What impression do we send? Then they move on a nice road, Entebbe Express, amazing, good development. And then they get into a potholed city of mine, which I'm ashamed to talk about at the situation is. But I can shoulder responsibility by saying this parliament appropriated money, but we have not gotten the release. This parliament here, and I thank you, honorable members, you appropriated enough money, at least enough for the beginning, in form of development budget for this capital. But this quarter, Kampala has received 13 billion shillings to fix kilometers and kilometers of roads and drainage and collect garbage and improve traffic lights and light the city. Now, it is impossible for a man in this house or an honorable member, as I wind up, right, honorable speaker, to leave home 3,000 shillings and expect to find a buffet with chicken, rice, matoke, and you expect the woman to provide for 10 children. This city was planned for 250,000 people. It has an influx of 4 million people on a daily basis, including yourselves, honorable members. And we are proud to have you and to host you every other day. If you pose the question as to whether I wanted this parliament to move, I would say no, because having you is our pleasure. So let's empower these local governments through funding adequately, timely, and giving them capacity. And definitely, we shall breed a good national outlook. If our local governments extend services, it will reflect on the national development.
Thank you, Mehdi.
Thank you.
Of course, the shame should not be on all of us. We are not the ones who release the money. The shame should be on the people who release. For me, I pay my taxes. I do appropriation. I expect services. Honorable Uganda. Uganda, you're a member of the committee? Honorable members, if you're a member of the committee. Alex.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons that led to the creation of new cities was to decongest Kampala. Because in the national planning,
that was not the reason.
one of the reasons, among others, Madam Speaker, was sort of the challenges Honorable Sereko has illustrated here, because you don't need a city that attracts 4 million people every day, yet these people can have services in other cities, and we make sure the traffic doesn't increase. But putting that aside, Madam Speaker, we have a big challenge with these local governments. Firstly, the government centralized. I don't know whether we are still under decentralized system of governance. Decentralization has been totally undermined. The principles and intent of decentralization have totally been undermined by the central government. And among the strategies that the central government did to kill the local governments was to cut their financial independence. Because these cities and municipalities, they collect the local revenue, and within their mandate at that time, before they introduced the centralized system, they would solve some of these challenges because they knew they would collect their revenue and they are able to plan and collect garbage and solve some of the challenges. But now they are curtailed because all the revenues collected have to be sent to the central government, and then they have to sit and wait and beg in a system that is not efficient and effective. So what do you expect? When we go to these councils, they point fingers at us and they say you are the ones who are controlling our money from the top, and we can no longer make simple decisions on the ground. So there was a motion that was tabled here in Parliament to say, can government reverse the decision of centralizing local revenue such that these local governments, municipalities, and cities can be able to act on some of the challenges. So this is something which was tabled here, but we have never gotten any response from the central government. And that is one of the biggest challenges, because when you go right now to Fort Portal City, The mayor was on the radio and telling people there is nothing that is going to improve. All the bad roads are going to continue. We are curtailed. We don't have the money. It was really lamentation, and you know the whole public is wondering. Now the failure by the minister to bring a law that is operationalizing the financing of these cities. I don't know why it takes all these ages, because now the law which should allow financing of these cities is not in place. I hope that the Attorney General really, you take this up, you help your minister who has delayed. He was here last time when we rejected, when he wanted to bring, you know, piecemeal, you know, these laws amendment of the local government. We rejected, and he promised that he's going to bring the new law to operationalize these cities. Up to now, nothing has happened. So I hope, Madam Speaker, that we really get the Minister of Local Government to do his job properly.
Agnes and then Noeline.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ashibu Agnes is my name, woman MP, Nebi District. I want to add my voice to what my colleagues are saying as far as our local governments are concerned. One of the issues that is facing Nebi District, and I do believe that it is not only Nebi District, but also other districts in the country, is the issue of salary disparity. We are all aware we have science versus arts, and this has affected service delivery in my district in such a way that the arts people feel demoralized, and therefore they leave the backload to be done by the people who call themselves scientists, who benefited from the salary as a result of them being science people. It is my prayer that even if we are looking at the science people, leave alone even the money that was increased for the science staffs, some of them also are not getting the money, and again creating more problems. I'm praying that let our people harmonize these salaries so that service delivery for our people reaches the grassroots people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to thank the committee for the comprehensive report. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the low absorption that is caused by poor coordination among the ministries of the same government. It has happened in my district that the Ministry of Finance has provided money for wage. The district is ready to recruit staff, but then the Ministry of Public Service delays to clear the district to recruit, and the money is taken back to the treasury. This leaves the district without the critical human resource to offer service delivery to the people. I feel this needs to stop. If the Ministry of Finance has provided money, why can't Ministry of Public Service clear the districts to do the recruitment, and we have the services offered to our people?
Thank
you,
you.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Goli.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the committee for their presentation, but I want to emphasize one point and give recommendation, that is about service delivery related to roads. Right Honorable Speaker, we are having a lot of challenges, particularly leaders from LC1, LC3. It used to rest at LC5, but it has now started reaching members of parliament. My recommendation is let's appropriate resources which can facilitate maintenance of roads as a priority. And I recommend a sum of at least 1 billion shillings to be allocated to those local governments so that they are able to maintain these roads. When I talk to my engineer, he said if we are appropriate, if they are provided with 1 billion, they will be able to repair these roads, and at least they will last up to 2026. Thank you very much.
Margaret.
Yeah.
First.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to add my voice and supplement on the issue of
local revenue collection and management. Right Honorable Speaker, as we carry out our oversight functions in our districts, the policy of sending local revenue to the consolidated funds, as the committee clearly indicated in the observations, that affects and promotes unauthorized spending of the local revenues by the local council. Right Honorable Speaker, I am suggesting that let us support the motion of spending this money at the source so that the service delivery at the local government is not affected. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Komole Emmanuel, Area MP of the Northeast County, that's in Karamoja. I have like 3 issues. One is the politics inside the civil service right now, especially in the local government. We have scenarios in my own personal district where the hospital ambulance, if there's a referral case, maybe let's say Moroto Regional Referral Hospital, one patient is charged, fueling it is 200,000. And then the next patient is charged maybe 400,000. The same distance, but you find like it's because of the politics inside the civil servants. The other issue is the civil servants who have passed on. There's a civil servant, let's say like 2 teachers can pass on. One continues receiving salary. And then the other one, the salary stopped exactly the same month the person passed on. So my prayer is to the ministry, in case you have, much as we also have meetings with these civil servants, as you go there as a ministry, try to enlighten them the dangers of putting politics into serving Ugandans.
Thank you, Kamal.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My issue is also on the consolidated fund that comes to the account from the local revenue that is collected from the local government. Before I came into the house, I was talking to one of the mayors of the new created local councils who said that they last received money in July last year. This is where there is a town, the garbage is all over the area, the roads are in a bad shape, and I'm wondering how these people are going to do service delivery for their people. I'm requesting, Right Honorable Speaker, with due respect, to know why the money cannot be released. Since the Minister of Finance is here, I thank you.
Thank you, Maneno, Matchbox.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For record purpose, my name is Maneno Zumra. I'm the woman member of parliament of Bongi.
By the way, Matchbox is Osoro.
Yeah, thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, I would love to add my voice on the report that was laid on the floor of parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I would love to thank the 10th parliament for creating new administrative units in the different districts in this country. These administrative units were created with the interest that services are supposed to be taken to the locals under at the district level and also at sub-county level. Right Honorable Speaker, there are new sub-counties that were created in different districts that are not operationalized up to now, up to tomorrow. There are no funds that are allocated for these sub-counties in different districts. So the Ministry of Finance will do something regarding the sub-counties that are newly created in that district. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the meaning of decentralization is not known in this county because the local revenue that is collected from the district are being sent to the consolidated account, whereby it's making services hard in districts that are collecting these local revenues. And thirdly, how do you expect a local government to perform in a district where there is no electricity?
how are they going to perform? More especially in Obong, where people of Obong have never seen a pole of electricity. How will the local government perform honestly? Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Solu, Honorable again,
Thank you, Right Honorable
and
Speaker.
former cow.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my colleague who just presented here a report. Looking from numbers of things, I have realized that every local government in Uganda has an issue. Right, Honorable Speaker. Arua City, before it became a city, back where we were receiving boreholes, yearly we used to receive boreholes. But when we upgraded most of the district to cities, which Arua has to be part, Arua is also another city. Right, Honorable Speaker? We cannot even receive, not even any one borehole, as per guided by the new policy. It's now the mandate of the national water to extend water to every city that was newly created. And now our people are struggling because of that. Secondly, before our sub-counties were merged, we used to have road funds. It's been 2 years down the road. Arua City is in a terrible state. Our roads have not been worked on. And if you have to go to Arua, members will want to ask if they have leaders in place. Right, Honorable Speaker? I wonder, the Ministry of Finance, even when we push our priorities to them, they will still say there is no money. Now that we have issues, budgets have been cut everywhere. What do they expect us to do? Right, Honorable Speaker? We are crying, the people of Arua City, that we don't have water. Secondly, the roads are in a bad state. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, we still have new offices of another district operating right from Arua City. I don't still understand.
Which district is that?
That is Arua district having its offices, its headquarters in Arua City. So now I begin to wonder. We upgraded these cities in this house. I remember we had implications of compliance of the finance was given money. They said there was money, but now there's no money. How come? And then you keep on saying that there's no money. So I think Ministry of Finance should be real, because otherwise the people are questioning us every day. They think we just wasted their time by creating those cities. And at the end of that day, we thought cities would even have more money than districts. But to our knowledge, it's contrary, the opposite. So Ministry of Finance, can you please help us? Because at the border, we collect a lot of revenue, which we do send this way. Knowing Arua is located in a triangle form, we border South Sudan. We do border DRC. And we do send a lot of money to you people. Why don't you, as the parliament, I remember last time, had already guided that let the money that is collected by the local governments be spent right there or refunded to local government. But now you have not kicked off. So I want to ask them why. Let them answer to us, because we're also getting frustrated in answering to the people. Why up to now the money is still sent to the consolidated fund and is not sent back to the people? That is my concern.
Again.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we should stop a debate on this, and we want to hear from the Minister of Finance, Minister of Local Government, the Attorney General. We want our questions to be answered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the report that was presented on the floor of Parliament, there was issues on the project related to UGIBs. And Madam Speaker, in my district, I remember the last 2 consecutive financial years, the central government sent the money without the contractor. Now, at the end of the financial years, the money is taken back to the central treasuries. And this has been occurring concurrently. Now, this is at the expense of the development in my district. And these have made the leaders and the community members very traumatized. And they have been putting us on pressure. Why is the government not sending the contractor earlier enough for them to begin the construction of secondary school, especially in Koromo? And this is a big problem that we have been experiencing several times. Madam Speaker, it is a high time for the PPDA to revise the modality of procurement of the contractor. Not only that, there are situations where the contractor has several contracts in many locations, contract A, contract B, contract C, and they are not able to concentrate in one location. You find a contractor run from A to B, and you find a contract in, you try the projects in contract A are at stall. They are not able to finish the contract in time, and yet the contract has time frame. And this is what the ministry need to understand. The contract has a time frame and a time limit. They need to make sure it is done within the time frame. This is my submission, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Cow.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I want to first of all draw our mandate from the Constitution. When you look at the national objectives and directive principles of our state policy, it reads, the state shall be guided by the principle of decentralization and evolution of government functions and the powers to the people at appropriate levels where they can manage and direct their own affairs. It's a constitutional directive. From what we have heard, colleagues, it is high time for the government to review the policy of decentralization. We need now to talk, because this is a directive from the Constitution, but if what we are witnessing right now, over a period of time, there is re-centralization, and this for sure. Financially, human resource management, and even projects. As we talk right now, Madam Speaker, we created districts. We create 10 cities, which have taken over offices of 10 districts. They are homeless. They cannot legislate from under the tree or from anywhere. At the same time, we have evidence there are 325 displaced sub-counties by town councils. These are not only displaced, but they have also conflict over the boundaries. Where do they begin? Where do they sit? As if that's not enough, you may be aware that there's high turnover of leadership in this country. Election comes, near 90% is displaced. Now, capacity building of the new leaders is very critical. As if that's not enough, they are paid very poorly. The chairman right now of a district gets about 1.6 million, if I'm not mistaken. And when you go down to the council, 300,000, and they sit once, maybe a quarterly. Now, as if that's not enough, the resources are over a period of time being re-centralized. Madam Speaker, we met here and agreed that the law should be revisited and the local governments should retain the resources to be able to manage their mandates. I request, therefore, I beg and pray that we revisit and honestly discuss the issue of decentralization in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable members, those who have not spoken will speak in the next one. Honorable Dakas, you will speak on Kosase. I saw Honorable Soro very passionate about a city and a municipality living together. We need to live cordially. A city came out of the municipality. We need to live in harmony. For now, when we don't have premises, we cannot just decide to chase them away, but it is something, food for thought, for government, to create an office for the city or for the municipality. It is your baby that you must nurture. Don't chase away your baby. Okay? That happened. It is still Soroti, Gulus, Mbarara, Soroti, all those ones. Let's learn to live together and let's learn to coexist. And then you will have an alternative in the near future. Can we hear from Attorney General? A number of issues have been raised.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, a number of issues have been raised. One of them is a matter of law on the issue of funding of local government. That is a matter of the Public Finance Management Act. And it has also come up already in cabinet at one point about the challenges that are being raised in respect to the return of money, especially projects which were planned, are in the process of execution or through the procurement, and the funds are returned to the central government and they do not go back early enough to meet the obligation. I think that is a matter we need to take.
Actually, not early enough, they don't go back. The funds are not returned.
Yes, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. So that is the matter we need to really address, all of us together. But honorable colleagues, I want to implore you to balance these interests very carefully. As we clamor to say the money should be retained in the cities that make it, you know, Kampala will make more, then Arua will make the next, then Mbarara, then so some people in this process may suffer. So as we balance this, we need to balance this very carefully. As we look at amending this law, we need to look at it very carefully to make sure that we have a balanced development of the country. So it's something, but it's a thought that we need to address, and I agree with honorable members. Honorable members, a lot has been said about the law on local government. The law on local
Let him
government.
first make a presentation, then you'll come in.
The law on local government. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I hold the view, and really a considered view, that there is no need to amend the Local Governments Act to accommodate cities. Section 4 of the Local Governments Act says, for purposes of this act, a city shall be equivalent to a district, and the city council shall exercise all functions and powers conferred upon a district council within the area of jurisdiction. A division shall be equivalent to a sub-county and shall exercise all relevant functions and powers conferred on the sub-county. Honorable colleagues, as we try to amend, as we look and clamor to amend laws, let's find the problem that we are looking to address. Everything that the city needs, in my considered view, is provided for in the Local Governments Act. And if there's any specific item that we need to address, let's address it as such. So we really request that all of us in our local governments go and use this law, set up the cities, and where we see gaps through these experiences, that's what we should draw upon to make better. Otherwise, we are going to write a law which is not tried, not tested, and we are going to continuously be in this process of amendment. About the unauthorized deductions that my
Council, that now takes you to what Honorable Soro was saying, that if you're saying that a city shall be equivalent to a district, how come you're accommodating a district within a district? And you're not providing for it what it is supposed to get.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the provision is a matter of administrative action. And I am on the floor of Parliament speaking to you, honorable colleagues and Right Honorable Speaker, requesting that they be provided for, as is provided in this law, the amounts of which city, which district gets how much is that for Parliament to deal with. And Parliament can deal with it within this law.
Can we pass on that question to now finance?
Most obliged.
The fact that you know that a city is provided for under the Local Government Act and to be an equivalent of a district, how come you're not providing for the city as required by the law? Yes.
Yeah, Madam, the Attorney General has mentioned that a division is an equivalent of a sub-county. That is totally the opposite, because a division is an equivalent of a municipality.
Section 4B says a city division shall be equivalent to a municipality, and a municipality division and a town shall be equivalent to a sub-county.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I am not actually just saying, I am reading the law that was written by this parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, my colleague will come and address that question. On the issue of unauthorized loan deduction, I state here, and I have communicated that in some instances that is outright illegal. You cannot deduct the salary of an employee without their specific permission. The guidance I have given to government agencies, I've actually asked them to pass on that duty to the banks, because government should not become a debt collector. We're not debt collectors. So pass on the salary to the bank, let the bank deal with its customer, and they can pay whatever debts they may have. But to deduct money without the permission of the employee is outright illegal, and the person who does that should be dealt with by the local governments in accordance with the law. Honorable Ebwaru mentioned the issue of that opinion. I'm going to look at it. My Right Honorable Speaker, I don't remember issuing a 50-50 opinion, but you have guided quite well, Right Honorable Speaker. In the period in which cities are growing out of municipalities, you are actually going to find places where the facilities are not readily available. What we have guided in such instances is that the relationship between the two should be set up properly through an agreement, a rental agreement, or whatever arrangements that they may come up to, so that they can have clarity on this issue. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Panado raised the issue of Uganda.
Once.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The clarification I'm seeking is whether the Land Attorney General is aware that the unauthorized loan deductions actually amounted to 11.1 billion. And these deductions that were made even without consent or undertaking on the report. 3.7 billion of these deductions were not even found on the payroll deduction management system. So I just want to know if you are aware of it and there is a way in which you are prepared to deal with it. While I appreciate the way you are responding, I just wanted you to know, I was just wondering whether you know the magnitude. I thank you.
What the Attorney General said, I don't know whether he knows the magnitude or not, but whatever was done is illegal. And because it is illegal, now you'll have to invoke Article 164, 1 and 2, where the accounting officer is culpable for whatever he does.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I think I couldn't have done it any better. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of Iganga, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, we need to balance two competing interests that are existing. As we speak of devolution of powers to the local government, there is also the problem where you want the central government to get involved to now deal with the local governments. For example, in this case, the local government is giving away land, which is vested in it through devolution, through the constitution. And we are asking the central government to come and stop them. So are we not quite interfering? However, if it is done wrongfully, there is a gate which is created in the central government in the Ministry of Local Government, and rather in Ministry of Lands, that whatever the local governments do have got to have a final check in terms of titling by the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. And I undertake to take up this matter with the Ministry of Lands to find out whether they titled that property, and if they did so, whether it was done in accordance with the law. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, there was a question on the procurement laws. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, we have very vibrant laws. Some accounting officers complete a procurement in 3 months, others complete in 2 years, others in 1 week. The problem is not the law. The problem is we need to go out there and make sure that whoever is the custodian of this law is implementing it to the letter in accordance to its principles. And if it is not, that is when we come back to Parliament and say, let's amend it. But I think, Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, I'd like to thank the committee for this report. I read it, I've listened attentively, and we really want to thank you for the guidance you've given. And we are taking note of all these issues, and we can assure you that in Cabinet, we shall definitely raise these issues. Beg to submit.
Thank you so much, AJ. Can I have Minister of Finance?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. There are a number of issues which were raised touching finance, and I would like to respond as follows. Issue 1 on delayed releases. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that we release quarterly budgets by 10th of the first month, meaning that if the quarter is beginning 1st July, by 10th, the law requires us to have released the funds. And after releasing, the warranting begins. Therefore, the issue of delayed releases is not on our side. It occurs sometimes where we don't release directly to the spending agencies, where the releases must go through the sector ministry. Sometimes the delays occur at that point. And I would invite the honorable colleagues to interest themselves in the particular votes they are referring to. And if that is the case, we can take it on with the relevant accounting officer. Number 2 is an issue on revenue, local revenue, which goes to the consolidated fund. Madam Speaker and colleagues, the law requires us to send all the monies to the consolidated fund. And under the Treasury single account, we find this to be the best practice. I wish to inform the House, and I did inform the local governments in September when we had engagements with them, that this is just for reconciliation purposes. If you collect, for instance, I want to use Mbarara City because I recently interacted with one of the people in finance in that city. They had collected 9 billion shillings in local revenue. And all this money, I confirmed that had been sent back. You just send it to the consolidated fund. As long as you have budgeted for it, you can send it in the morning and we'll give it to you in the afternoon. Madam Speaker, where the problem occurs, yes. Where it is for the benefit of the House that I give this information.
Yes.
Can I finish and you clarify?
Right Honorable Speaker, the uproar that you witness in the House today regarding the unfunding of local governments and other activities was premised on the fact that the Ministry of Finance was not releasing the funds. Listening to the minister, he has actually sifted the burden. He said, we need now to take keen eye on the user ministries to go and see that they release the funds to the line ministries, and they are the ones that have delayed to further disburse those monies to the user departments or entities. The clarification I want to seek, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the Ministry of Finance should provide us with the appropriate schedules, the payment schedules to those entities, so that we can actually prove that the money were released. Otherwise, I would want you, if you don't do that, then they should not run away from that responsibility. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, the Appropriation Act must be respected. If it's not respected, then the governance systems actually collapses and the constitutions become nothing. So I would like you to confirm, to clarify that you'll be able to provide us that schedule. And in this particular case, the budget committee can look at it to making sure that those funds went and they were actually not extended to the users by the line ministries.
The minister was very clear. He said the law requires to have released by 10th, requires, but in actual fact, it is not done. Okay.
Madam Speaker, it is actually done, and all this information is available on our website.
Honorable
But I can
members,
also provide-
honorable members and honorable ministers, we are here to help each other.
Yeah.
We shouldn't go on defensive. We all represent constituencies, including you. Maybe your constituency is privileged because you're a minister of finance, but we are here to help each other. These things actually happen. The monies do not reach. For instance, if it is money for construction of a health center, it goes a month to closure of the financial year. When do you do procurement?
Madam Speaker, with your indulgence, I would like to say this. We need to interest ourselves in the Treasury accounting instructions. When we release, the process of warranting and invoicing is another stage. What happens between 1st and 10th is releases. From there, we expect accounting officers submit their work plans and start warranting.
Information, Madam Speaker.
But honorable minister, that is within your work.
Yes.
Do you want to bring it back to us, the members of parliament? All what we want is we have appropriated money and we want the money in the district. And what we want you to say, I am going to make a follow-up and ensure that money reaches within time.
Madam Speaker.
Information, Madam Speaker.
Before, Madam Speaker, I would like to, I'm really firm on this. Money is for the districts to reach. Except for UGIFT. That is where we have had issues.
Isn't it is you give money going to the district?
Yes, where the procurement sometimes takes long and we cross the year before the process is completed.
Isn't it money going to the district? And if it is going to the district and it is coming from treasury, it is still your responsibility.
I much obliged, Madam Speaker. The point too is also the treasury accounting instructions allow us to start procurement process even before funds are received and you don't sign. This would, in a way, prevent the risk of funds going back as a result of failure to meet procurement deadlines, timelines, when funds come late. I would like to invite colleagues to advise the accounting officers accordingly.
I would actually invite you to write to the accounting officers to do that, not from the members of parliament. For us, we are politicians, we are not technical people.
Thank you
You
very
fa-
much.
Budu, you first sit.
Uh,
So can we have that written to the accounting officers?
Madam Speaker, we undertake to write to the accounting officers.
Okay,
to-
next.
Next issue, on rotation of accounting officers who have who have audit queries. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with the House.
Can Right Honorable speak on the release of the monies collected? Because we have a problem. When you walk to our taxpayers in the city, they say we pay all forms of taxes to the city authorities. We are not disputing the fact, all right? But we are saying that you've posed something that is important for us to understand. That what we would consider as the NTR, the non-tax revenue, that is collected from the dwellers of the city or from any other sources of revenue. How timely? Because you said it was from your statement that the moment they get it and remit it, you remit it immediately. Please be clear on that so that we know, so that then the people in the various councils are not confused as to whether, because when word comes from you and this August House, it will be taken as the gospel truth. Let us have you state it.
The release immediately is not true.
Let him commit himself here.
Information.
Madam Speaker, where you have budgeted.
Ferigo is dying with the information.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The minister has said remitting our revenue to consolidated fund is by law. I wanted to inform the minister that Public Finance and Accountability Act and other laws do not provide for that. Only that these are reforms made by Minister of Finance, reforms. So when we sit here as Parliament and make a decision, in my view, it supersedes the reforms in the Minister of Finance. So my request is to the Minister of Finance, we have discussed this matter, let the local revenue remain and they get just reports from the accounting officers. Otherwise, they are disorganizing local governments by remitting the money and sending the money back takes a lot of time. I don't think reforms should supersede the decisions by this Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Attorney General. Attorney General, it's by law, by the way. It is the law that you made.
Right Honorable Speaker, it's the law. I'm just going to search it and give you the actual section, but it's in the law.
Yes, it is. Honorable Minister.
I think lastly, Madam Speaker was on, I was trying to respond what Honorable Sereko had raised. Where you have budgeted, we will give you the money. We return the money. We reconcile the consolidated fund on a daily basis. Where you have not budgeted, that is where I have come here and seek for a supplementary. So where you have not budgeted, you will not get it until when we have issued a supplementary. But where you have budgeted, the funds are sent back. The NTR monies for local governments are sent back. Madam Speaker, on salary issues.
Accounting officers.
Sorry?
You were talking about accounting officers.
On accounting officers who have audit queries, I feel they should not be reappointed. And we are undertake that the next appointment cycle, we will act accordingly. On salary issues, Madam Speaker, for us from our side as finance, salaries are a statutory obligation, and we have released it to the extent possible. I would like to.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Minister, for giving way. The clarification I'm seeking from you. True, salary is a statutory obligation. Right Honorable Speaker, this morning, I got a phone call from one of my parish the parish development model, parish chief, who said for the last 7 months, they have not received salary. I thought it was him alone. When I said, is it you or others? He said, all of us. So if salary is a statutory obligation, I want clarification from the minister. Why these parish chiefs to date have not received their salary?
Honorable Minister.
Sarah, parish chiefs belong to districts, and the accounting officers, the district, through the Minister of Local Government, can explain that.
So that will be responded to by the Minister of Local Government.
Yes, Madam Speaker, with these few, I submit.
Thank you, Minister of Local Government.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the members for raising these pertinent questions. Maybe to the recorders, the machine didn't record me, so kindly capture me. One, the members are complaining that the Ministry of Local Government is rotating thieving town clerks and cows. He steals money from Fort Portal, they take him to Uganda, from Uganda to another and to another. I want to tell you the truth that has stopped, and I will give you evidence. Yes, I'll give you evidence that I personally, Rusoke Victoria, wrote to the Service Commission, stopping interviews for one of the town clerks that had been shortlisted to be interviewed on promotion. You are praising, yes. That, thank you, that I wrote to the Public Service Commission.
Honorable Minister.
Yes.
It shouldn't take you to write such a
All
letter.
right.
There should
So-
be a system that tracks the performance
Yeah, but the
of these
shortlisting,
accounting
right,
officers. Huh?
the shortlisting, Right Honorable, was done by the Public Service Commission. So my role was to inform that that gentleman is on interdiction because of mismanaging our funds.
Okay, you'll
And
give us
yes.
evidence to that. You give us a copy of your letter.
I will.
Yes.
Secondly, it's about the remittance of the local
Honorable
revenue
members, listen,
collection.
Ferigo, listen to the minister.
We have introduced a very, very thorough system called Integrated Revenue Administration System, the IRAS. It's no longer a means of moving shop to shop, negotiating with the taxpayer and pocketing what he or she has paid. But here I seek your advice, Right Honorable Speaker, that when Parliament makes a resolution that taxes should remain at the districts or any lower local government, and you direct that Ministry of Finance please adhere. If the Ministry of Finance doesn't adhere, is that contempt of Parliament, or there is another system which perhaps I need to get from our land trade?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
On grabbing of land, and the local government is keeping quiet, there are some roles that are multi-sectoral. Like the land issue, we have a fully fledged Ministry of Lands. I think matters that are very well clear belonging to the Ministry of Lands can be put there. But as an institution, if we are let know in time, we can also intervene or inform accordingly. When it comes to reviewing the Local Government Act, I want to report to this House that today we met the Committee on Local Government and Public Service, and we informed the committee that we have already embarked on major review because the local government decentralization started in 1992, and 20 years down the road, we really need to make a detailed analysis, and where need be, change the laws accordingly. On illegal recruitment and protecting people without qualifications, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to be on record that the Ministry of Local Government has tried, where we are informed on time or through our inspection and evaluation staff, we take action. This is why we nullified all the appointments of parish chiefs in Kagadi, where there were a lot of forgeries, people didn't have the papers. This is where we nullified the appointments in Intoroko district. The member was here, I don't know where he has gone, but he will be a witness. We nullified all over 70 positions and requested them to re-advertise. Regarding acting capacity, Right Honorable Speaker, there are some rules indeed that must be changed. Because for one to become a district engineer, he must be certified and registered, which is very few with some engineers. And to become a district health officer has the same requirements. So districts fall prey because these two positions are very, very dear and very, very pertinent. But I don't know whether the money sent to the districts are really sent on the personal accounts of these people. We need evidence because someone tagged it to this. Then when it comes to inconsistencies on payrolls, it's true, Right Honorable Speaker, that there are some human resource officers that are on interdiction. The latest is the one of Bunyangavu. When we move and we get information, we give. But in some districts, they're not giving us information. And I want to report to you, Right Honorable Speaker, that we are not exceptional in the Ministry of Local Government. Our budget for monitoring and evaluation was cut halfway. So it's not that easy, but I wish members, and I've been appealing to you very genuinely and humbly, that don't wait to bring everything on the floor of Parliament. Those who come to us and whistleblow to us, we act immediately. Yes, it is our role, but let us try to inform the relevant ministries on time so that they can take action. Another problem was slow absorption of funds. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to concur with the members that it even appeared on the floor of cabinet that the hybrid procurement is really deadly. Right Honorable Speaker, the person building the schools in Intoroko, 2 of them, seed schools, to a tune of 1.4 billion, is the same person building in Bundibujo, different district, is the same one building in Bunyangavu, Yombia Secondary, and the same one building in Kabarole, St. Paul's Kasenda. The man doesn't have enough gadgets, enough workers. In totality, he doesn't have the capacity. So I stand here to join the members who should refute hybrid procurement. Let's stand on our 2 feet, start it from cabinet level, and we give to people who can afford, tested, tried, and with evidence that they can manage. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Rusoke, she has a clarification.
Okay.
But you're flowing very well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of low absorption of funds, and this is why I was standing up, is not only tagged to procurement. Right Honorable Speaker, there is a challenge with the district service commissions. In some districts, they have failed to recruit, not because they don't have the district service commission, but because they are waiting for certain people to complete their studies and they can recruit them. We saw this, I saw this when I was in the health sector. Some districts in Karamoja, that they want their own sons and daughters. So right to qualify first before they can actually recruit. And you saw about, I think it was in November, Right Honorable Speaker, where one district, they were ordering all non-Karamojons to leave their district. Yes, it was an issue. So Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of absorption of funds, I want to request the minister. The clerk to parliament now, the Honorable Adolf Mwesje, was a minister of local government. And he had come up with his team with a proposal on resolving this problem of the district service commissions. In my district, it was tribal. They failed to recruit. The District Service Commission could not sit. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I am raising that. And also earlier, I heard the minister talking of an officer whom they could not recruit. You know me, I like evidence. How I wish if there is evidence, you can table it here. It would help us so that I don't see that person being recruited in some NGO in my district or coming to my
Thank
district.
you.
How I wish I can see that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Rusoke, you'll bring the evidence and
Yes,
then
I
you will
bring
also
it.
go and study that
I
issue
will, I
of
promise, Right Honorable
District Service
Speaker.
Commission.
Non-operationalization of sub-counties. Right Honorable Speaker, this very parliament passed a supplementary budget of 29 billion. And we gave it out as that fund to those sub-counties that were legally created with the instrument of the Minister of Local Government, gazetted and coded. What have we discovered today? While we were in the meeting, we found the figures that the committee had on a number of sub-counties was not the same as the figure tabled by Minister of Local Government. And according to our findings, during elections, there are some parishes that are created as polling stations, but the local community administration turns them into administrative units. So we need to sit with the Electoral Commission and refuse those so-called parishes that were created as polling stations, because those parishes were very huge. And for them, they think they have now become legally created local government institutions. But that's not true, because if you don't have an instruction by the Minister of Local Government, you are not gazetted, you are not coded, even in the Ministry of Finance, you will not get money. Local government ministry sitting on corrupt officials, untouchables, protected. I want to inform this parliament that we have tried our best. Right Honorable Speaker, we have recovered 4 billion, and I promise to table that information tomorrow, not any other day, because we presented it to Parliament. So we are busy recovering. Tip us, tell us, and when we get out on monitoring, we can. The city's garbage is heaping, and of course it will culminate into diseases. But Right Honorable Speaker, I want to inform you that some cities misappropriate money.
You're informing the House.
The
not me.
House. I oblige. Members of Parliament, I want to inform you that be keen. I want Honorable Hunda to testify today, because he's my member of Parliament for my city for Poto, that 3 months back, we mounted a battle on corruption. Out of the reports tabled by the mayor, the speaker, people of goodwill, and we took IGG to Fort Poto. But as we talk now, the garbage at Kitere has been removed. And what have we discovered? They were withdrawing money in millions for fuel, and they were not putting it in the trucks to go and collect garbage. So we are with them head on. But as of now, we have ordered for trucks. We are budgeting for 10 trucks. When they come out, all the 10 cities will get their trucks. But that will not be enough if we don't supervise the money to the dot. The trucks will be there, the fuel will be stolen, and the garbage will remain there. As of now, Right Honorable Speaker, these are the salient key issues I noted, and those were my answers. I've gone with the assignment to bring the letter which I wrote.
And then operationalize the machine of Soroti.
The operationalization of the machine.
The battery, and hold the person responsible accountable.
The battery, honestly, Right Honorable Speaker, Soroti should have for the battery. With
No.
the revenue collection they are making, And
We-
I don't
They're
want.
they're actually making revenue collection and remitting it to the consolidated fund.
Musasi.
But what we are saying,
Okay.
the person responsible should be held accountable.
We are going to intervene, Right Honorable Speaker, and make sure our truck works, the battery is replaced, and the garbage is collected. I thank you.
Honorable members, we need to apportion liability on accounting officers who have been found culpable for whichever mistake that has taken place. You've had a number of issues that have been raised by the chair of local government, and they are all pertinent issues. We've made a summary and given to executive. They should be able to respond to that. And since they are coming back with a treasury memoranda, we will get actions taken. And remember, under Article 1641 and 2 of the Constitution, it bestows liability of management of public funds on accounting officers. And that's why we are saying these accounting officers who make mistakes left, right, center should not be transferred to different districts. You're transferring a vice. This virus will go from Honorable Boss place or Os place, then it will go to Rwanda, and then it will go to Bukede. You see that kind of thing. If they cannot be accountable for what they do, then we would rather have new people who are ready to work with us, and we move on. I want to thank you, the chairperson of the committee. Thank you, the Land Attorney General, Minister of Finance, and Public Service, and the government chief whip and local government. Yes, thank you. You answered them very well. I now put a question that the report of Public Accounts Committee local government on the report of Auditor General for financial year 30th June 2021 on 49 districts. 49 district local governments, 6 cities, and 5 municipalities be adopted by this House together with the Auditor General's recommendations on all the remaining entities that were not considered by the committee. Those in favor stand the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Clerk, I will require you to extract the resolutions together with what was on the backlog and forward it to the respective ministries. And this now means local government is up to date. They do not have a backlog.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Just to emphasize that the extract comes to Ministry of Finance for to enable us to prepare a treasury memorandum, not respective.
I said respective ministry. The respective ministry would mean finance. Okay? So I think you just wanted to stand up. Pardon? That motion on what? Honorable members, that was local government. In the beginning of the year, we agreed sessions must stop at 5. Start at 2 and stop at 5. I now adjourn the House to 2 tomorrow.